welcome to this podcast. To give you a brief about this podcast, this is where we're going to bring you behind the scenes of how InterPro Global supports small to mid sized businesses in the United States grow and thrive with their back office solutions. We will be talking about everything from HR, payroll, benefits, accounting, to bookkeeping and CFO services. Today, we've got the man himself, Mr. Mukund Tathacharya, the Vice President of InterPro Global, joining us to chat on what we do, how we do it, and share some success stories as well. So stay tuned. This is going to be an insightful conversation. Mukund, tell us about your role at InterPro Global and what the company stands for.
Thank you, Shruti, for having me here. And I really appreciate this opportunity to talk to you. As Vice President in InterPro Global, I head the US services that we support PEOs, HROs, staffing companies, CFOs, and accounting businesses. We cater to small and mid sized businesses. But from a company perspective, when you ask me, tell us about the company, we are a people first company. We believe that people come first. The people here is my client. So I say client first. The people here is my team. And I say employees first. And that's the value that we add. The more value we add to our employees, the more value we add to our clients. So it's a great culture, a fantastic place to work in.
That's nice to hear, Mukund. Where is InterPro Global located? And if you could tell us about your DR and BCP, it will be little useful for the audience watching.
We are located in India, in Chennai, that's the south of the country, and we are on the coast. It's a very, very nice and warm place. If you're in Houston, or if you've ever been to Houston, just imagine the Houston weather. Or if you're in Hawaii, it's the same as Chennai. That's why I never get signed up to travel to Hawaii. But then on the DRP BCP side, what one is that we have two locations in Chennai. So from a business continuity perspective, we are covered. We also have offices in other cities, and those cities are close by in a different state. So we can always move people there should the need arise. But over the last 25 years, what I've seen is despite the challenges, it has never come to a stage where everything has been cut down or shut down.
Mm.
There has been amazing development in this country in the last 10 years that you have internet 24/7. You have power 24/7. There is not a single day of power outage. There is not a single day of internet being shut down despite inclement weather. So that I would say speaks a lot about the country and our readiness to accept more business.
So, if your prospects who's looking at it currently wants to outsource to InterPro Global, what should they be asking you right now?
The first question I would like them to ask is show me where to sign. But that doesn't happen generally. They ask me a lot more questions, which is about security, data security, how we process our qualified staff. On data security, I can say that with twin factor authorization and everything being on the cloud, we really don't store data in our servers. So it is safe. It is just a bypass, and most of the data comes through VPN. And we access the client's VPN and it's on the cloud. Some of the clients have a virtual desktop, which makes it even more secure. The question of security really does not arise. And most, I would say today you're looking at two large players in the market, which is Microsoft and Amazon Web Services for hosting. And that's what all the clients use. So I think we are very good on that.
What are the challenges that your clients are typically facing when they reach out to you, Mukund?
The challenges for any business today, not just my clients, is finding the right talent. And the Indian demography has been very, very business friendly for us because we have a lot of young people who are qualified from right out of colleges or people with a few years experience and with their accounting backgrounds, which is has a that a lot of people are interested in the kids. It's a good fit for what the US market is looking for.
Mhm.
So ideally, when I am supporting a PEO, I'm looking at having people who have a payroll background or an accounting background. And these are the challenges that my clients face. One, running payroll, finding the right talent. And over the years, what we have noticed as the economies have grown, we are seeing that the smaller towns and the smaller cities across the world are not able to retain talent because the younger generation is moving towards larger cities and wants to get employed with larger corporates. So this is a niche that we are trying to fulfill. This is a gap that I am trying to address by providing qualified manpower to my clients in the United States.
Can you share your client's size, rough, not exactly maybe, and how many uh, people do you serve for? Headcount, basically.
I have around 25 clients, and some of them are England, most of them in the United States. The worksite employees that my clients have range from anywhere between say 10,000 to 150,000.
Okay.
So my largest client serves around 150,000 worksite employees. My second largest client serves around 100,000 worksite employees. The smallest one is at 10,000, which is still a good number for a business leader to take a decision on offshoring and outsourcing. If I have 10,000 employees, I'm looking at an inflection point of growth where certain constraints on costs would not let me scale up.
Mm.
And that is where one, being a lower cost geography, high efficiency geography, that I step in. It helps clients scale up at a very, very reasonable cost. So from a CFO's perspective, I would be top for hiring instead of an employee in the United States, which would be very, very difficult to find.
So, Mukund, if you could tell us about the type of work culture Interpro follows, it will be little useful for the other companies as well.
The culture that we have at InterPro is work. That is the most important culture I would think of. And everyone comes into an organization because they want to work. So that's the culture that we bring. The idea here is that we are here for the client and for our employees. So it's an open office, it's an open door policy. People are asked to ask questions, and that's the first rule. The second rule is don't forget the first rule. So ask questions, keep learning, keep moving up, and serve your clients. The culture that we foster is a culture of trust. Because post COVID, we have seen that the work from home, the hybrid culture, and the remote working has been very successful. So I believe that as long as I can trust my employees, we can deliver to the clients what they need.
What do you think about efficiency and how do you deal with it?
Efficiency is something that my clients keep asking me about on how efficient can be I can
Mhm.
be, whether I can achieve the same numbers that they achieve for a 900 for a payroll processor. Some clients ask for 1200 for a payroll processor. But what I tell them is that I can achieve whatever numbers that you want. And a lot of times when this question is put to me, what I answer is Roger Bannister ran the mile under 4 minutes. If two people had run, it still wouldn't be under 2 minutes. There are some functions that will always be linear, and I will achieve the same timeline that your people can. And I
That's
see no
very,
challenge there.
Mhm. That's a very good answer. So talking about the services that you provide, you had mentioned accounting, benefits, and other services. How do you ensure quality on all these services?
That's a very interesting question when you talk about quality.
Mhm.
The managers here who supervise the teams, they are all having a training in Six Sigma. Most of them have a green belt or a Six Sigma black belt, and they have done not just the programs but put this into use in a day-to-day scenario in the office. Of course, the question is whether a Six Sigma is effective for accounting operations.
Mhm.
That's a different topic altogether. But then the process is re-engineered in such a way that there is always a maker-checker relationship. So if I'm, let us say from a PEO perspective, I'm uploading some data into a portal for benefits, and I have one person in the team, let's call him A, he uploads it. So the subsequent action of saying paying that invoice has to be done by B, and that person goes into the portal, makes sure it matches with the original input, and then makes the payment. So every process is re-engineered in a way that there is a maker-checker relationship, and this serves as a QA function for us. And being trained in Six Sigma for in case, just in case there are some errors, for every error we do a kappa, corrective action, preventive action. We look at different tools like the fishbone templates. For every process we do a SIPOC and make sure that the errors are virtually nil. So if I'm looking at Six Sigma, I'm looking at 3.4 million, 3.4 errors in a million. So we're good with that number.
From a client's perspective, do they feel that there might be some communication gap while outsourcing, or what do you think about that?
Of course, everybody feels there is a communication gap. How many times in lives do we keep saying that, I was misunderstood or I didn't get that right? So there are going to be challenges. And how do we address that? Is by training people, talking to our clients. To give you an example, the NATO alphabet came into being because there was communication challenges across the air. A for Alpha, B for Bravo, C for Charlie, D for Delta. The reason this came into place is that during wartime, people would not miscommunicate, get the alphabet wrong. So on the same lines, I tell my clients that when they have to give us a set of instructions, that it be a nice set of instructions like an SOP. And every training call gets recorded. We turn it around, go back to the client asking questions. This eliminates any challenges that we have on the communication. It's just not saying, it's an oral communication. I said that and you said that and coming back to me. Whatever we have gets documented, and I have a client sign off, and then we process it. And that's one of the reasons I've always talked about success stories. And more importantly, we have been SOC 2 certified. This is something we get done year on year, making sure that our processes are in place. The internal access controls, the SSAE 17, which is SOC 2 now, and the ISO 27001 are all in place. So the clients don't really have to think twice about data security. The other question that they would ask is about qualified personnel. But as I said, the demographics have worked in our favor, and we have a vast pool of talent, an untapped pool of talent. So we can really get amazing people here who have drive, who like to be challenged and deliver to clients what they need. And believe me when I say this, India is not a country of clock watchers. So this is something that most people love when they work with Indians.
Pro Globals scale support quickly if a client's volume increase.
Absolutely. At any point in time, we have a bench of 10%. And these are people who get cross trained on each and every processes that we do and every platform that we work on. So our clients primarily use Prism, Paylocity, Darwin, Workleo, iSolved. This is by far most of the payroll platforms in the United States. So they're already trained and they have an accounting background. They understand payroll, so we can scale up anytime we want to. Even if we have short-term projects, that's something we can achieve and deliver to the client. So as my client has said once, it's amazing to work with InterPro because we can contract and expand like an accordion.
Mukund, if I may ask, would you be able to share some of your success stories that your team had made measurable difference?
I have nothing but success stories to share. And so far in my life, I have never lost a client because of a service issue. So I can say that I have 100% retention rates of every client. And every client does things differently. So we actually do a deep dive when I work with a client and make sure that they get what they want. But since you asked just for a couple of success stories, let me share one
That's
which will give
fine.
you a different insight. So when a payroll business acquires a new client, they ideally look for setting up the client, setting up the employees, making sure the benefits, the workers' compensation, the 401k, and all the setup, including the verification of employees, enrolling the employees onto the carriers to make sure the benefits get paid out, the comp premiums are paid out on time. All that is a process. So we do the entire process. In one case, a client of mine signed up a 500 employee client, and they wanted it done within 1 week because they had promised the client that they would go live. And this client had to do it within the week simply because the previous contract with the previous payroll provider had ended. And this was the middle of the year. So within 1 week, I was able to turn around, pull out all the historical data, upload it into the payroll system, make sure the employee was set up, the clients were set up, the verification of employment, the looking at all the documentation, everything on time. The other advantage my client has had that I have been able to leverage the time difference to our advantage.
Okay.
So think about this, a company in the US getting an input at 5 o'clock. They don't need to stretch. They can send it to me. I turn it around in India daytime. And when they come in, they have questions ready saying that out of the 500, I have 498. Two of the employees don't have data.
Mm.
So they go back to the client and they can send me the data. This works beautifully as a process and the client wins. Of course, the client's client wins. And the reason we are here is because there are issues, there are challenges. And I am the solution provider for that. And this is what we do for a living. This is what we've been doing the last 25 years, supporting PEOs, supporting HROs, staffing companies.
So, thank you, Mukund. Thank you for your time. It was truly amazing talking to you. So, let's stay tuned for the next episode or the next podcast to know more on each processes. Let's dive into that with Mukund. Thank you.